Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Aircraft Realism Workshop. And I kind of want to give you an update on this YF102 that I'm working on. It's a Monogram kit, an older Monogram kit, actually designed as a 102, but I'm converting it into the 102. So anyway, here's the fuselage. And by the way, this is covered in metal. I did get the intakes put on, and that leaves me open now to go ahead and finish the runners on the inside. So when you look through them, you know, it doesn't, you don't see that blocky stuff in there, you know, and it'll just look a lot better. Anyway, moving on to the wing. I have got the wing done in metal, and I would flip it over and show you the other side, but I've got a little landing gear stuff going on, and I'll explain that in a moment. So we've got the wheels painted and done. There's the nose wheel, and there's the main wheel. And I like to use toothpicks. It's just a lot easier to get around, you know, to each their own, I guess. But I've had a lot of grandbaby time. I haven't had a whole lot of time to work on this with putting up Christmas, grandbaby time. That's where it's at. Trying to make a modeler out of him. Anyway, so that's the wheels. I'm working on landing gear and doors right now. And just to explain a little bit on the landing gear on this old Monogram kit, I say old, I think it's from the early 90s. It's not real old, but old enough. The landing gear is a little bit of a bitch, I'll just tell you. First off, the directions aren't real clear. Okay, here's one of the main struts. Locating the lockdown bar on the landing gear, I had to use an original photograph to exactly get the placement correct, because, like I said, the instructions aren't the best. So, hello everybody, glad you're watching. Andrew, Tony, Sharon. So that isn't the real bummer of the landing gear. What's the real bummer, or bitch, is the scissors, or the torsion bar. Okay? And what they have you do, because they didn't mold it correctly, or they molded it the way they wanted, you actually have to precisely take these scissors right here, get them up here, we can see them, and fold these over, fold this top one over to almost reach the other one without breaking the little pin in the middle, without breaking that little pin there in the middle. So yeah, that's a little challenging. You just have to take it slow, real slow, bend it a little more, bend it a little more, and hope you don't break it off. If you do break it off, you place it where you want it, super glue it, ta-da. But, you know, it's easier if it don't break off. If you just take your time with it and just fold this scissor over to the other scissor, because there's only a little bit of space between the two, according to the landing gear. And what I mean by that is, let me hold this by where the wheel goes, and I can show you. If I get this up here, I don't know how clear this picture is, but here is where an attachment, and here is the other attachment. So you can see that space is pretty close. So you have to fold that scissor over. Now what I did, and this will help you, just don't go start gluing these landing gear parts together, because they're not going to fit properly. Just a heads up. Now what I did was the lockdown bar, right here, okay, I just set this strut in the holes for now, and very carefully looked at where that lockdown bar was going to set and fall into the gear well. Well, it don't fall exactly where it's supposed to go. So you have to do a little finagling, and once I get that where it's supposed to go, I keep this all in place and then super glue it here where it attaches to the strut. Then you're assured that the fitment, when you put it back in, is going to be correct. Now, after I got that, I went ahead and I done the scissors. And let me take these out. Let me take this gear out up here. And it's a real tight fit, but it does come out. Come on. There we go. Okay, so the scissors, and I've got a strip of tape. I've got a strip of tape wrapped around the scissors here to hold them scissors together in the places they attach. And then you got this bar here that comes out from the scissors and attaches to the door. Now, the scissors are in the correct place, but the door attachment isn't. So what I'm going to have to do once the scissors dry is bend the door attachment, okay, to fit the door. And what do I mean by that? When this door goes in against this gear, it doesn't fall in the correct place. So, like I said, the heads up, don't just start gluing these parts together because they won't fit. Pre-fit, bend it where it needs to go, and then glue. And make sure this strut and everything fits down into the gear well exactly where everything's supposed to go and fit properly before anything else. Otherwise, you're going to have a mess. I watched a video of one guy trying to put this gear together and put it in the well, and it was just a big mess he had. Because he went pre-fit, he didn't pre-fit, and he just, he about gave up. It's that bad. So, I wanted to mention the fact, if you know where there's some old tube TVs, like from the 70s, you'll find all kinds of copper wire in them. Now, I had a cabinet given to me, an old TV cabinet with the TV in it. If you had followed any of my posts, you'd see it. But anyway, these coils of copper wire come in them old tube TVs, and they're so nice to have. You try to go buy this stuff, it's expensive. Now, this stuff here is a stranded coil wire, and there's just, you can see there's just strands and strands and strands. I mean, I don't know how many feet are there. Several. And this will last forever, for a good long while. Now, there's like 3 or 4 strands in this one cable. Now, you can either use the cable for just running a whole cable of wires, you know, through your cockpit, fuselage, whatever. Or you can take them apart, the the strands like I have. Let me see if I can grab them because they're so small. And you can see that I've got 2 left on this strand, and they're twisted together, you know, and you untwist them and you pull one strand out. All right, you just cut it to whatever length you want. And for instance, I'm using it as a light wire on here. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm using it as a light wire, and I've got it painted black now. I've got that wire painted black now. I don't know if you can see it, but they make real good wires to use in gear wells. They make real good hydraulic lines, what have you. And they're real thin. They're so nice to use. Like I said, there's 2 left on that strand. You just untwist them, pull them apart, straighten, clean them off with your fingers. It's that simple. So that's where I'm at with this thing. By the way, it was like 2 to 3 weeks to install the metal on this thing. 2 to 3 weeks to install the metal and put the rivets on it and everything. So I want to give you a real good look at this beauty. It's really, really turned out fantastic. Really nice. It's going to be a one of a kind for sure. And now I can show you the wing because I took the gear out of it. Here's the bottom side. And you can see all the rivet detail and inspection plates and panel doors that I had to go through looking at original photos. This is all per original photos. So it is correct to the 102. This is totally correct to the 102. The leading edges are correct. Now I'm going to flop it over and show you the top side. And the riveting, and I've had people ask me, well, how do you get such straight lines? I don't just run my rivet wheel, man. You can't do that, or you'll end up like this with the rivet line, unless you're just that damn good. I don't know anybody that damn good. So what I do is I use thin strips of masking tape, however wide you're comfortable using, and run them and measure. And I use a steel rule that's in 16ths and 32nds. These are beautiful straight edges. Beautiful straight edges. Once you got it measured, once you got your lines measured, you just turn it this way, and then you just, I use a combination of 2 things. I'll run my rivet wheel along this, if it's within the length, or I'll lay a strip of masking tape all the way down and follow that strip of masking tape. That's how I get my straight lines. I've had people ask me that. So there's your top. And I had one guy ask me, well, if you're going to have it in a park position on the ground, shouldn't the flaps be deflected? And well, no, they don't have to be, because I have, and by the way, I've got them 5 degrees deflected. 5 degrees deflected. I don't know if you can see 5 degrees deflected. But I just wanted a very slight deflection, because all the pictures I've seen of this bird, Now don't get me wrong, I've got one or two which shows full deflection with it sitting on the ground for whatever reasons. But I've also got pictures of it with no deflection and maybe 40% deflection or degree, 20 degree, and I've also seen it in 5 and 10. I've got several pictures of this thing in different configurations. So, you know, just do what you want. You know, the flaps aren't, you know, made where everybody thinks, oh, they got to be right here. No, that's not true. Okay? So, anyway, and the rivet wheels that I have used, rivet sizes, I've used 4 different rivet sizes on this plane, according to original pictures, and da-da-da-da. Now, I had went and bought more of these rivet size wheels. You get 3 in each one. I've got a total of 12 now. I believe I've got the whole set. And they range from 144 scale on up to 24 scale. You know, so I can do, I mean, rivets like crazy. You know, go mad with it. When I'm doing my metal, I always save all my little metal pieces, scrap metal pieces. Tell you why. Because now I'm pre-fitting the doors and stuff, right? Okay. So the inside of the door obviously doesn't get metal, but the outside does. So when I'm done pre-fitting and blah, 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 and I'm done messing with this door, I'll go ahead and put metal on it. Well, that's where them little pieces come in handy. You know? Why throw them away? You know? For instance, there's 2 of the metal doors right there that I've already done. I've still got to do the back of this one and the back of the front right here. These are the insides to the main. And you can see I've already did them and riveted them. They look fantastic. And I think it took me 10 minutes per door. Once you get good at this, you know, little stuff like this doesn't take that long. Can be a little aggravating if you got a lot of cuts. You know, if it's an odd shaped door, like the main is. You know, it's kind of like odd shaped, you know. But it's not that bad. Not that bad. 10 minutes, I'll be done with that. Maybe another 5 to put the rivets on it. You know, 15 minutes, I'll have that door done. But the main purpose of this this morning was to, because I've got a couple of guys that's already said, you know, they have these old Monogram 102s, and they were wondering how the build, they wanted to follow the build. You know, I haven't posted a lot with it yet. I've been putting all my stuff on YouTube, which, by the way, I'm over 10,000 views now on YouTube. So I'm doing real good there. They're going to start paying me before long. Anyway, the main purpose is to give a heads up on the landing gear to this old Monogram 102. Pre-fit if you want it to come out right. If you don't, now it's going to look like an 8-year-old kid done it. Okay? Just that simple. And I've got a lot of time already in the gears, in the struts. So, and I got a lot of time putting the nose door together with the landing light and the wire run to the light and another hose, or hydraulic line I should say. And I do have a clear lens in there. I know it's hard to see because there's a bracket that runs right over the middle of the light. You know, that I thought that was kind of stupid. But anyway, on the main gear, they each get a landing light. They don't have it in the kit. It don't even show it in the kit. I spotted it from looking at original pictures. And this is why I use original pictures. If you want to get it right, you know, I can't stress that enough. Research before you do something, you know. Sure, I could throw this model together in a day if I wanted to and take another day to paint it and, hey, let's call it done, you know. That ain't me. Anyway, I like to try to get them as close to the original plane as possible. Now, the landing light on the strut, as you can imagine, will go right about there, almost midway. But and now I have to run the wire, and I've got to run, once I get the wheel on there, I'll have to run brake lines to the wheel. I'll have to run brake lines to the wheel, to the caliper, and that's going to take time. Yes, it all takes time. It takes me 5-6 months to build, you know, a project, but it is good, you know. So I hope you guys enjoyed this update and a heads up on the landing gear for those of you that's got one of these things and you want to build it. Beware of the landing gear. And everybody have a nice Christmas and New Year's if you don't see me again, but you might, who knows. So I appreciate you all tuning in. I've got several names here. I can't even mention them all that's tuned in, but hey, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. Check out my YouTube channel. I've got all kinds of instructional videos, shorts, live posts. You know, that's where I'm putting most of my work, most of my stuff. Check it out. And have a great holidays. Christmas, New Year's. Thank you all for watching. Bye.